Hey guys, welcome back to Altcoin Freedom. Mike here. I hope you're having a great day. In this picture, we're looking at Atlantic Road in Norway, beautiful Norway. If any of our viewers out there are from Norway, let us know some other beautiful places we should check out if we ever make our way over there. Let us know in the comments below. Okay guys, in this video, we're going to be talking XRP. Some of the things we're going to touch on is some news how XRP is seriously undervalued right now. Okay, so if you're into XRP, you might be finding this a very good buying price to pick up some more XRP, add to your positions, or just get into XRP in the first place. We're also going to be talking about how there's a lot of news that institutional investors are buying XRP at a record rate, and the Ripple CEO has touched on this. And guys, we'll also mention how David Schwartz said the XRP ledger is more decentralized than both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And lastly, for those of you who were very interested in the project OICoin and that ICO, we were lucky enough to secure an interview with Carl Walder. Okay, so has a lot of experience in international marketing, and he's overseeing the legal and project issues of the ICO for OICoin. So we're going to have an interview with Carl, and he's going to answer a lot of the questions you guys had about this ICO. So we'll hear that later in this video. So there was a lot of news, and a lot of people are talking about how XRP is seriously undervalued right now. Okay, so if you're a big XRP enthusiast, maybe these prices are very attractive right now. So let's touch on this. We know the months of July and August this year probably going to go down. A lot of news is saying it's going to go down. In the brief history of crypto we have so far as being one of the most unsure times due to the ETF announcements as well as other regulatory, the stalemates that are going across the globe, because all this FUD has really hurt the entire crypto market. Okay, so we see the whole market's kind of a shell of its former self. You know, back in the peak season of December, early January, as we started the year, the total market cap was over 800 billion compared to what we're looking at, just over 200 billion today. And we know back then, guys, if you were a big XRP enthusiast, you saw it just heading to the moon, right? It rallied. It was up over $3, close to 380, maybe a little over 382 or something like that. But you know, that was a lot of speculation of it going on Coinbase. Okay, so there was a lot of good news happening around XRP, the whole crypto space in general, and there was a lot of money flowing. But now, looking at all the recent partnerships, right, that Ripple, the company, has made, there's been a lot of partnerships with exchanges. We know Bittrex, Bitso. A lot of news about XRapid, okay, the operations in the US, Mexico, Philippines. And if we start to understand the utility of XRP with XRapid, that's pretty exciting. So we know once XRapid is at 100% functionality, through traditional remittance transactions that used to take about 2 to 3 days, they're now going to be settled in just minutes, okay? So basically thanks to the digital asset XRP. So we're all counting on that being the asset that's going to be used on the network. So hopefully that will be used to source the instant liquidity. We know Bittrex has even gone ahead and listed XRP US dollar pairs. And there's also a lot of remarks by the Weiss ratings, that XRP is the fastest digital asset to transfer funds between exchanges. So hopefully we see this realization and it results in the XRP community really growing again, like we saw at the beginning of the year. We even saw the community recently petitioning Binance. Okay, on Twitter there was a big storm trying to list XRP as a base currency on the exchange. And if we think back to some of that big exciting news that came out about SBI Holdings and VC trade, we know if we look back across the ocean, okay, we find the SBI Holdings company has been a partner of Ripple for over 2 years now. So they've been involved with Ripple for a long time, and that's the same firm that recently launched the VC trade exchange that is basically just XRP centric. So SBI has taken this to a whole new level. They've gone a step further and even invested in North American companies in Canada and the US. So in the US, the firm has invested in the Clear Markets firm that is based in North Carolina, and they plan on building a derivatives exchange that allows institutional investment products to be tied to the price of Bitcoin. And most likely our favorite asset, if you're a big XRP enthusiast, XRP. And we also know, guys, in Canada, SBI has invested in Lancium Technologies, which provides wind power to cryptocurrency mining activities. So a lot of cross-platform partnerships, a lot of activity happening in there. But that really shows us, guys, all these events, all these developments and technological advancements, this stuff is set to make XRP great, okay? Better than we even thought back in the day when we were speculating about Coinbase. That was enough back in the old market, right? But this kind of news, guys, the stuff we're going to hear in the future, Ripple is doing a lot. So a lot of people are thinking the XRP, this digital asset, is seriously undervalued right now because we're looking at the time of this video around 32 cents. So hopefully if we pass all this ETF news and all this regulatory uncertainty, XRP is going to start rising again, and hopefully later this year and as we come into the future, we see its full potential in the crypto market. And this leads us to institutional investors. Now, there's news that they are buying XRP at a record rate, and the Ripple CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, said Wall Street investors are buying and holding XRP at a record rate. Now, during a live AMA, Garlinghouse said the company's next quarterly report on how much XRP the company sold will reveal the sharp rise in interest. And that's what we're looking for. We've heard a lot about this institutional investment, okay? Here's a quote. One of the things I will tease for a future announcement, we'll do the Q3 XRP markets report, which we always share, where we're seeing institutional participation in buying XRP. Q3 will definitely be a record of institutional participation in buying and interest in holding XRP. So Garlinghouse also talked about transparency in the cryptocurrency space, addressing Ripple's openness about the fact that it owns 60%. That's a big downer for a lot of people that are really concerned about their ownership of 60% of the total supply of XRP. And, which currently right now about 90% or so is currently locked in escrow. But there was also a quote, Ripple's going to continue to focus on solving real problems. So that's what we see, some real life usage out of Ripple, okay, the company and hopefully XRP, the currency, as XRapid goes live. And they've said in this quote, we want to make sure that we're creating as transparent an ecosystem as possible. And as one participant in that ecosystem, which is XRP, we've been, I think, more proactive and transparent than really any other major player in this space. People say, well, you own a lot of XRP. Well, we don't know how much either Ether or some other major players know. We just happen to be more transparent about that. So getting back to the institutional investment, guys, in the cryptocurrency space, just in general, Garlinghouse said it looks like bigger players are starting to make their moves. And that's what we've been looking for, right, guys? So now let's also talk about the XRP ledger. And there's news that it's more decentralized. A lot of people are saying it's more decentralized than both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And let's hear what David Schwartz said. Now, David Schwartz, we know he's the CTO of Ripple, okay? Or if you don't know, he's the CTO of Ripple. And he posted a blog on Twitter explaining the decentralization with respect to the XRP ledger. Now, according to Schwartz, the XRP ledger is far more decentralized in nature as compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this is a big thing that Ripple, the company, is trying to figure out, right? Is it centralized, decentralized? Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two biggest networks, we know they're held as the golden standard for decentralization right now. But Schwartz, in the Ripple's official blog, he stated that for a network to be termed as fully decentralized, no single administration or entity can make the rules or transaction history, and that is a power of blockchain. So the inherent nature of the XRP ledger, therefore, is such that it runs on a blockchain system that is decentralized. Now, the Ripple architect believes that one has to understand the underlying design of a truly decentralized network to genuinely grasp its concept. So let's talk about this. We know Bitcoin and Ethereum's POW, proof of work, versus the XRP ledger consensus. It works on a consensus. So now we know, well, if you don't know, the proof of work algorithm, right, Bitcoin and Ethereum are using, which is rewards for miners for validating the transactions, right? And this is because it promoted a decentralized network system. The algorithm worked well when it first started out, but a lot of recent developments have shown there's been some problems, right? So the proof of work could lead to a centralized control if a handful of miners have substantial control over the network, which there is a lot of talk out of China, right? How Bitcoin is controlled by a few miners. So in contrast, he says the XRP ledger, which uses a consensus protocol, is dependent on a large section of validators who record and verify transactions, and the rewards of which are not meted out to any specific party, right? He further explained that it's because of this consensus that the XRP ledger is inherently decentralized and democratic, as not one specific party is in control. So, it comes back to transactions cost, right? That's why XRP is very interesting. XRapid is very interesting, right? The speed and the cost. Schwartz was talking about how Bitcoin and Ethereum miners have always wanted an increase in the cost of transactions on the ledger, and that would lead to an increase in rewards. So this, according to Schwartz, would lead to a digital asset unfit for real-world use cases. And we started to see that with Bitcoin and Ethereum scaling issues as well, right? But especially for making payments. But the opposite of this is true for the XRP ledger. Now, Schwartz has said, a quote here, the XRP ledger encourages the opposite behavior. Those using XRP and the XRP ledger are able to make progress without mining, which saves significant computer power and time. Also, it's a built-in system called fee escalation and is part of its consensus protocol and helps to regulate fees overall. So what this means is lower costs and faster transaction times for XRP compared to other digital assets. So these are the attributes that make it the most useful asset for settlement. Okay, so very interesting news coming out of Ripple all the time, guys. Hopefully we see XRapid go live. That's what we're all waiting for. Now, let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you adding to your positions in XRP these days? Are these very good buying times? Is this price, very appealing to you? Or are you happy with your positions and you're just going to sit tight for a little while? I'd like to know about that in the comments below. Okay, and for all you guys who are interested in the OI Coin ICO, here is an interview with Carl Walder, the project developer. He's going to answer a lot of the questions you guys had. It's a very interesting ICO, especially if you're interested in precious metals, okay? So let's take a look at this and listen to what Carl has to say right now. Hi, Carl. Good afternoon, and thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Hello, Mike. It's a pleasure.
Okay, great. So this is a great opportunity, Carl, for you guys, the team, to answer some questions our viewers have about the OI Coin project, okay?
Okay.
So let's jump right in, Carl, and can you explain the aim of the project for our viewers, but in just a short summary, easy terms?
The aim of the project is an extension of a business model and an ongoing business that has been established a couple of years ago in Switzerland and Germany.
Right.
And it's about the global rollout of the eighth precious metal on the planet, and that's osmium.
Osmium. Okay. All right. That's what everybody was very interested in, how it's a very precious metal. The scarcest precious metal, is it?
It is by far the scarcest precious metal. If you would take the osmium of the whole planet that is available on the Earth's crust, it's a cube of about 6 feet length.
Okay, so there's not much available.
There is very, very little of osmium available.
Okay, so Carl, that's very interesting. Now, could you explain for the viewers a little bit about how the project's going to work and the contract will work? And some viewers wanted to know if they could avoid the ICO and participate later.
Well, of course, everyone could actually buy osmium at the same time. The main difference of buying osmium or buying the coin is we anticipate that the osmium price, because of what we do through this ICO, the osmium price will go very, very, very much up north and skyrocket price-wise. So if you buy crystallized osmium, this osmium would actually raise in price.
Right.
If you have the coin, though, you have the same thing because you get through the coin a part of the revenue. It's the difference between profit and revenue. So you get a part of the worldwide revenue of crystallized osmium.
Right.
So if the price goes up, you have the coin, number one, and you participate of this price increase as well.
Okay.
So at this stage, it's actually very, very important or wise to invest into the coin.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks. Now, what role, Carl, is the coin going to have?
The coin's main role is to get osmium known worldwide as fast as ever possible.
Okay.
So we have a time of in our calculation of 10 years. Within 10 years, osmium should be actually known by more or less everybody who is in the jewelry industry.
Okay.
So that we can actually really give osmium this precious status that it has. There's, I think most of the viewers or listeners know the watch market to some extent, and there's one watchmaker with the name Hublot.
Okay.
And Hublot already launched an osmium style watch.
Right.
And I think the cheapest one is around $150,000, so it's
very
not the
expensive.
cheapest version.
Right. Okay.
It looks fantastic when you look at it. It's the surface of the digits is like a million diamonds put in there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen some different items in jewelry made of osmium. It has a high-end look, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Very classy, expensive stuff. Okay, Carl, thanks.
This is what we target.
That's what the target. Okay, great. So, thinking about that, Carl, can you tell us a little bit about who you think the typical investor would be? Who would want to buy this coin?
Everybody who thinks that I'm not going to make my buck within the next week or the next 2 months.
Okay.
I buy something and keep that for a period of time because the token's main value is the intrinsic value.
Okay.
So that means that the token actually pays you every quarter money from the revenue that is made with worldwide osmium sales.
Okay.
So it's not just a question that once we come to the point that we go to a stock exchange, that the token is traded, the token has not only the value of purchase or getting that money back.
Right.
The idea is that you hold the token and you get 200-300-fold back what you invested through the revenue of worldwide Osmium.
Okay, so more of a long-term hold here, right?
Yes.
Not the people looking for these short-term gains in the crypto market.
I wouldn't go for that. No, definitely not, because actually this intrinsic value is so high that it's really worth to keep it.
Okay, perfect, Carl. So how likely do you think people are to yield a return on the investment? Like, what is a reasonable valuation of the market, do you think?
Well, the market for Osmium is, in my opinion, really huge. It's this luxury market,
right?
And the luxury market is one of the most stable markets over the last couple of 100 years.
Right.
It has always worked. And when you look at the stock exchange and look at the really valuable markets, you always find those luxury products top notch.
Right.
And so getting money back, it's not the question of getting money back. That's for sure getting money back what you spend in your currency.
Okay.
But getting lots more in terms of really profitability, because I really would like to repeat that the token value does not rely on the profitability of the company, but on the revenue of the company.
The revenue, okay.
Yeah.
So that's something investors should be thinking about, right? Participating in the revenue of the company, sharing the revenue.
Participation of the revenue and not the profitability.
Not the profitability. Okay, perfect. So a lot of people also, Carl, have asked, what is the purpose of the ICO? Does this project really need to be on the blockchain? Why did you guys choose to do that?
The blockchain is the easiest way to distribute money, to distribute cryptocurrency back to the token holder.
Okay.
So it's the easiest form to send funds to the wallets of the token holders.
Sure.
It's a very, very simple, very simple tool that we need, that we use, and this blockchain is actually purely and solely used for sending Ethereums back.
Okay, so you're just taking advantage of the capabilities of the blockchain, the ease of blockchain. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
It's a lot easier, and it's a lot easier whenever somebody changes his location. We don't have to fumble around with bank accounts or something like that. It wouldn't work like that. So it's the blockchain makes this stuff a lot easier.
Perfect. That makes perfect sense, Carl. Now, can you tell us what the money's being used for and what kind of expenses you guys expect to incur as you go forward with the project?
Well, you have to imagine when you have to make a precious metal known around the globe, and I don't know if you know everybody knows platinum nowadays, but if you go back to the 1970s, nobody knew platinum, because platinum was not used as a precious metal. So it took a couple of years to introduce that in the market. It gained dramatically in value. Mm-hmm. From the 60s until now, because nobody really used it. And it's the same with Osmium. So we have to go with the message around every corner into every country to say, okay, we have a great new precious metal. It's called Osmium. It's in crystalline form. It looks drop dead gorgeous, and everybody has to have it for his wife or his girlfriend as jewelry.
Okay, perfect. Because that is very true. Osmium, I've never heard of it, as many of our viewers have. So you're bringing global awareness to the market here, right? About Osmium, the metal. Okay, that's very interesting. Now, do you guys have a minimum or maximum threshold you're trying to raise here? Okay, for your fundraising?
We have a maximum threshold. These are 125,000 Ethereum. Yeah. We don't have a minimum one because it's an existing business. So we are working on that roadshow already for a couple of years. This is a rolling train. And the train rolls faster and more efficient the more funds we have. The more funds we have, the more countries we can infiltrate with. The idea of Osmium looks fantastic.
Okay, very, very good. Okay, and can you tell us about the team? This is the interesting part. A lot of people were interested that it is an existing business already. Okay, this isn't speculation of something that could come to fruition. You're an existing business. So people really want to know about the team. Some of the team members' backgrounds and experience in the market. If you could tell us about that, Carl.
Yeah, some of the team members. We have a very wide range. The founder and director of the Osmium Institute. He's a physicist and a chemist, and he's really a jack of all trades. He has been in mining business. He knows the metals back to front, and he's really very well into that.
Right.
Myself and my colleague Michael Gasser in the ICO team have been working with gold and silver and also Osmium over the last years. We have We have a precious metal online shop system in Europe.
Okay.
That we actually have for a couple of years. We have one colleague in Belgrade who is interesting, who is Ljuba Jakic. He's on the website as well.
Mm-hmm.
He is the man who made possible that there is no more value-added tax on gold in Serbia.
Really?
He went to parliament, he went to the prime minister, to the president, to the finance minister, and he convinced them that it's absolute rubbish because Serbia was one of the few countries worldwide that have value-added tax on gold.
Oh, okay.
And it made it possible that this has been changed, and this was just about 5 months ago.
Wow.
So we have been in this precious metal business for a long time.
Right.
And on top of that, Michael Gasser, who I mentioned before, he's one of the crypto specialists in the German-speaking areas. So he's teaching in universities and schools here. What is it about cryptocurrency and what to do, the do's and the don'ts.
Okay, perfect. So a very diverse team there, is it?
Yes.
With lots of experience. Okay, those are some interesting stories you just mentioned there. And Carl, another thing, I know you guys have a very capable, diverse team there. So the viewers were really wondering if you could tell us about the competition you're facing. And for those that know there isn't a lot of competition, why not? Why is there not so much competition?
No, actually, there is no competition at all, and I cannot imagine over the next 10 years that any competition will arise because osmium is a precious metal which is, after mining, even poisonous. So you cannot deal with that. It's illegal to trade raw osmium.
Okay.
Only if you know the way how to crystallize osmium. It's the difference of a pencil and a diamond. It's both is carbon.
Okay.
And osmium in a raw version you cannot use for anything. And once you crystallize that, it's the hardest, the most dense, and the most amazing material you can imagine. Right. And the way of crystallization has been a process for about 25 years of experience of a team in a laboratory, which was very, very interesting. And it was a pure try and error system. And it takes about, from raw osmium to crystallized osmium, it takes about 3 months till you have the process is finished. And as it's so scarce, it didn't make any sense to patent it. Because once you patent it, you have to officially announce what you did. Okay. And somebody in the depths of Kazakhstan, not that I have anything against Kazakhstan, could duplicate that. And so nobody will be able over the next 10 years to find out what has been found out over all those years and decades. Okay. And until then, osmium is gone from the market because there's such a limited amount.
Right. So there's a good chance there are no competition in the near future. You guys aren't too.
I cannot see any.
You don't see any. You're not worried about that. So that's very good for the team and the project as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, Carl. So those were a lot of the questions our viewers have. A lot of people are showing interest. Is there anything you could tell us here at the end for anybody that's going to hear about Osmium for the first time or IOCoin, the project? Is there anything you could mention to them that would get them interested, or why should they invest in the ICO and participate?
I think it has a very, very, very good perspective of really making some serious money. Okay. And there is a lot of arguments and a lot of more depth information. If you go to our website, this is oicoin.io. Right. And if you look at that, there are a series of videos where we explain in 2-3 minute sequences that it don't get tired of too much information. Yeah. All the little bits and pieces about osmium and the metal and the market and the pros and the cons and the opportunities in the trade. So everything is discussed very, very thoroughly there. Okay. You can get a really good imagination of what you can really earn with spending a couple of Ethereums on the Oicoin.
Okay, perfect. And one thing I'd like to leave with too, Carl, is like you mentioned, it is a very, very nice product there, osmium. It's a beautiful, precious metal when you do have it put in jewelry, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because I've seen a few pieces, and it does look like beautiful, high-end stuff people would like to... probably there would be a high demand, would it, when it makes it to widespread jewelry stores around the world, or when it's global? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Carl, well, you know what? That's going to clear up a lot of questions for our viewers. Carl, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Mike. It was a pleasure.